Welcome back. This is Chili Davis, and I want to welcome to all my new viewers and welcome back to all my subscribers. Thank you for stopping by the channel. And today I'm going to talk about the future of work in 2021 and beyond. I'm on Forbes.com, and this article is dated back in December, but says the future of work is remote. So you got to understand that in 2021, everything is moving online and is becoming digital. Some people's jobs will be eliminated via robots, or they will be eliminated via drones, and some will be eliminated by software. But if you become the software developer, you will live a very lucrative life moving forward, either developing software or supporting software. So the future of work is with Facebook, Google, Twilio, and other companies that you're familiar with, such as Snap and Instagram. It says the world witnessed a shift in 2020 job market due to COVID-19. While some companies used to offer the ability to work from home as a perk, it has now become the norm for businesses. By 2025, an estimated 70% of the workforce will be working remotely and at least 5 days a month. While 2020 may be considered the year of remote work, it is just the beginning. So I wanted to share that with you because this is something really serious. I've been in software and IT for over 12 years now. And basically the writing's on the wall. You no longer have to move to California or move to Seattle, Washington to get a high paying job. Even now with Texas has become the new, what they call Silicon Valley. I have an image up here, Silicon Maps. And as you can see, all the new tech companies, AT&T, SailPoint, Cisco, Oracle, Apple, Oracle used to be in California, Siemens, Tescom, Lam Research, Dell. All these companies used to be in California, PayPal, but they are no longer dependent on being in California nor Texas. So this is just the latest. So as the Forbes article said, many people will be working remotely where all you will need is an internet connection and a computer, or that could be a laptop or that could be a mobile phone. And so I'm going to go on and talk about some of the jobs. Here's another article, Tech Flights, why Silicon Valley is headed to Miami and Austin. So you see here, Miami mayor, he is doing some recruiting. Mayor Francis Suarez has been fielding numerous inquiries from the top. Now this is going into the cryptocurrency. Mayor Suarez wants blockchain and cryptocurrency to be the hotbed right there in Miami and South Florida area. So he is vying for those jobs, but keep in mind, they no longer are dependent on location, but the companies will, what they call, create a headquarters there, and that will bring, taxes and cash flow to Miami. I mean, everybody wants to live near the beach and not pay the high price. Actually, when I used to live in California, I used to work with a couple of Google's employees. I spent my time going from the beach and back to Silicon Valley, San Jose, Mountain View area. And the problem they used to have was the real estate was like $1.2 million. And that was the low end. And now today in 2021, those same apartments and condos are now $2.1 million. So the issue was my coworker, who sometimes he worked at the beach with me in Santa Cruz, he got to work from home. And later he started working for Google. The point is just to live in the Mountain View area, you had to be spending anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And he wanted his daughter and his son to get a high quality education, but also play sports. He was big on tennis. And he loved other sports too, but big on tennis. And so his idea was to move to Florida, but the salaries weren't there. So you could work in Silicon Valley and make, let's just say, $150,000. And at that time in Florida, you could only get $70,000. So now 10 years later, the salaries are comparable. You could still live in Florida and you'd be destined to make over 100,000. Whereas back then, if you worked in Google in Silicon Valley, you were easily making anywhere from 150 to 200,000. And that was back in 2012 when I was there, 2012, 2013. So all these cities are vying for these jobs because why? Because the cost of living is lower and the tax breaks are better for, the tech companies as well. So it says here, Tesla CEO, Twitter CEO, and Google's former CEO, Eric Schmidt, all met with Soros. He's reached out to them, and there's no secret sauce other than my Twitter account. Soros says, while slaving, preparing for another day, a message from inquiring from tech executives. So this is where we're going. The tech jobs work from home. So I showed you here, Silicon Hills, this is Texas. And then here are some of the jobs that are in demand that you can easily be done remotely and all pay well over $100,000 and more. So with the pandemic recovery on the horizon, U.S. employers are reimaging the workforce as buildings are reopened and business adapt as a post-COVID world. And many leaders that mean findings out to offer work from anywhere arrangements to meet employees' expectation and desire for flexibility. Now, one analyst from the job site Indeed found that postings are now twice as likely to be mentioned and above to be worked remotely than they have before the pandemic. And employers are building remote teams, need remote HR leaders as well. One big area for remote hiring is human resources, which Reynolds said is a good indication that employers are committed to building out remote workforce. So that is it. That's just where we're going. And I'm just going to share with you a couple of jobs that are not necessarily indirectly tech, but here it is, head of global acquisitions, paying anywhere from 100,000 to 160,000. And senior global sales recruiters are making 100,000. And now we go into tech, backend software, cybersecurity are making 150,000. And so before, you would used to have to go to Silicon Valley to get that 150,000, or DC or New York, but you no longer have to do that. Notice here, this says Flex Jobs top openings average annual salary. So this is what it's about. You don't have to live. And in fact, there are people moving from Seattle to Boise, Idaho, and driving up home prices from that are normally home prices that are 150,000 are being driven up to 300,000. So here are the salaries, senior product designer. A lot of these jobs are becoming the norm. So in the next 5 years, as the Forbes article said, 70% of the workforce will be working remote. Now, what does that mean? That means, again, all they need is a computer and an internet connection. The company doesn't have to pay for a building. They don't have to pay for lunches. They don't have to pay for, huge parking lots. One of the things that happened with Tesla when it was growing rapidly in the last 3 years is they had to buy buildings or take up huge long-term leases, and they ran out of parking space. So they had the financial capacity to hire, thousands of workers a year, but they didn't have enough parking space. So this is where we're going, is remote work from anywhere. And so we have other roles here, DevOps engineers, 115,000, 125,000. And this is becoming a norm now with the fact that with inflation, 100,000 is nothing anymore. 100,000 now was what 80,000 was just 5 years ago. So here it is, design practice lead, director of accounting, and mortgage underwriters are all making 6 figures. And you can check this out. I'll leave these articles in the description. 20 in-demand jobs that can be done remotely and all pay over 100,000. This is dated April 9th of 2021. And so one of the benefits of some of these tech jobs is that for years now, they've been paying very good salaries. You could get some training from this website called Algo Expert. So if you want to become a software developer directly and not just a IT worker, you can apply to Algo Expert. And it has online training for 100+ hours of training, explanations and, different software topics such as data structures and solutions in 9 different languages. And so this is Algo Experts. I'll leave this link in the description so you can pick that up. So I want to go back to the topic of salaries and why the Silicon Valley type jobs are ahead in terms of wealth and are into the future. So I'm going to a website here called Levels FYI, and I'm just pulling up the salary for a regular Google engineer, software engineer. And as you can see, the base salary of an Apple engineer is $130,000, plus they're getting additional $30,000 a year in stock, plus an annual bonus of $17,000 a year. So this right here is being transferred to more and more remote workers. No longer is this just for Apple workers, no longer is this just for Google workers, but this is becoming the norm. This is the new standard. Base salary 100 to 130,000, stock options of 29,000, and bonus pay of 16,000. Now, as they move out of Silicon Valley, of course, many of these will be trimmed 10, 20%. This 130 will become 100,000, and this will be trimmed 20%. So this become 20,000, and this may become 5,000 or even $10,000. So you used to have to work for these companies to get the advantage of all this built-in wealth, this stock wealth. But I go on to show you other companies, Twilio, which is another big software company. They do the same. They pay stock options the same fashion, where they basically pay $101,000 a year and $20K in stock and $0K in bonuses. So again, this role, Twilio also has locations in Texas as well. But again, any of these work ideas can be done remotely, and the basic job title is software engineer. So I'll go on to show you 2 more companies that are the same. Domo is another company where the average salary is $145,000, and the stock options is $40,000, and the annual bonus is $20,000. Now you can visit this site and look at what a senior, what a regular. This is actually a senior software engineer, so this is not an entry level role, but Levels FYI tries to give a lot of transparency to what the jobs actually can pay you. So let's go down to another one. This is called a senior role. And it pays actually $137,000. And again, they now this particular role only I think pays in terms of stock option a lot less. Okay, so they actually pay $5K in stock option bonuses. Okay, so here's the little compensation chart, and they show you base pay, stock, and then your bonus. But basically, all these Silicon Valleys are offering the same total pay, and many of them are remote. So if you don't have a job, and if you're 20 years old, I'm serious about this, I advise you to get into software or somewhere IT supported. Based on not only this website, based on what this NBC News article says about 20 in-demand jobs that can be done remotely and all pay $100,000 or more per year. And lastly, because I love to talk about stocks and why it matters that a company would pay you in terms of stock versus actually salary, here's the key. Here's some companies that I have been able to invest in. And we just talked about Okta. We just talked about Twilio as places to work. And we just talked about Domo. And all these places that I invested in back in 2019, just 2 years ago, before the pandemic, I literally turned $10,000 into 37,000, and I turned 77,000 into 25,000, and I turned $2,000 into $9,000. So that's in terms of what Silicon Valley is doing. Silicon Valley type jobs, whether they're remote or not, they are making millionaires overnight because of the fast growth, fast appreciation of the companies. And as you can see, this is the daily earnings. This is not even 1 week. This is just a daily earnings. So you could imagine that the people that work in a company that are getting initially every year that they work there, whether it's Okta, Domo, or Twilio or Apple, they're getting $28,000 just in stock options. So this person here working at Twilio, they will have triple the results. Now I invested 10,000 and they got 28,000 or roughly 30,000. They would now have $90,000 worth of value or wealth appreciation just for working for the company. Now, something that I like that I've seen is Silicon Valley is starting to now basically outsource the wealth. So what it means is other people now can join into the stock fund, and one of them is, Robinhood. Robinhood average account size is literally $5,000. So Robinhood appears to be significantly lower. The retail brokerages, they offer somewhat free trading, no commissions, but the average account size is $5,000. And even if over a year that $5,000 worth of investment, whether they invested in, Domo or Twilio or Okta, that still becomes $10,000 in a year or two. So there's a couple of companies out there say, hey, you might not work for Silicon Valley, but you can get wealthy off of stocks and stock appreciation. The last tool that I want to talk about, because this is tied in, is M1 Finance is, basically saying, hey, we know that, people are working and they want to invest. And if you invest with them, you're going to be able to borrow against those assets. So, if you, let's say you have 5K, they're going to give you the lowest rate to borrow against those stock options. So if you had $28,000 in M1 Finance, they're going to give you that opportunity to be able to borrow against those assets. And whether it's Robinhood or M1 Finance, tech and stock appreciation is part of the future. We're going to a digital economy, and many of these names that I'm talking about today are going to become more namestay. So whether it's just your plain Facebook or Google, these other cloud companies such as Okta and Twilio are going to become a mainstay. And don't be surprised if, in the next couple of years, whether you're working in Miami or Texas, that you'll be working for one of these digitally native companies that originally were in Silicon Valley, but now are everywhere. So this is where we're going, working remote in 2020, and salaries ranging from $100,000 up to $200,000 a year, some with stocks, some without, but there's a lot of great importance on online training and working remotely. So this is Chili Davis, and I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please like, share, and leave your comments below.